working with the tobacco control program in your state, in Washington State, since 2018. I was looking back at my notes, and I've witnessed a lot of turnovers and changes, for sure. I remember when meeting you, I believe it might have been your first week. I was like, okay, this lady
Hmm.
is going to really shake things up and like be there for the program. And so I was really excited to kind of see your light and your positive spirit. So today our conversation is going to be, about a lot about how you've been able to have that power of a positive mindset to get through the many challenges that you've overcome since becoming a program manager for the Washington State Health Department team there. And I know we started this conversation actually last fall before things started getting a little shaky with the CDC, but you were selected to be a part of the communities of practice for new leaders that I was facilitating. And the theme at that time was surviving to thriving as a new program manager, not even knowing how much survival skills would be needed for the next few months after that, though. And so I wanted to continue that conversation with you today, one on one, while you were with a group of people, since you and I still work together. I thought your story would be really good to highlight.
Oh,
So
thank you.
thank you for being here with me. This vlog that I am, putting out into the world is called Now What? Good Energy Only. And it's here to remind our colleagues, other people out there who's interested in perhaps going down the public health field if they're in school and college, but really to remind people that even after the unexpected, you can still find a fulfilling life where you're working and get in alignment with your passion, even though there's curveballs that constantly come at you, right? So I'm happy to talk with you about your inspiring story of how you've been navigating unplanned challenges, probably since the first month of your tenure in your
Yeah.
position, and how you've been working with your team. So thank you again. And let's start talking about your now what. So, let's talk a little bit about you becoming that program manager and what started happening for you in this position.
Yeah. When I got on board, I didn't really know fully what to expect. I was coming from a university into the Department of Health state government level. My background education is in prevention science. So I have a really good theoretical foundation and understanding of program implementation, development, all of that. So when I was coming in, I was a little nervous, but I was excited. And then you hit the ground running. There's always things that are happening. There's issues that arise that need to be solved quickly. And there's always kind of this sense of urgency as well, because we at the state level have a direct impact on communities. Because if funds are late, if contracts are late, if there's a hiccup any way or at any point, it affects communities directly. I had to really kind of balance that pressure that I was putting on myself of like, I need to get things done really, really fast when the system itself does not quite move that fast. So it was a learning curve for sure. Going from university, which felt a little more fast paced because you're on a semester system,
Mm-hmm.
to the government system, which is fiscal year based.
Gotcha. And you were hired in what position when you started with the team?
Yeah, so our program has kind of two tracks right now. So one is tobacco focused, the other is cannabis. So I was hired on as the cannabis program manager, um, but which is formerly the community partnerships manager. So
Mhm.
it was my responsibility to manage the state funds around cannabis prevention, so youth cannabis prevention, cannabis education, and media campaigns.
And then I would say a month or two, maybe three into your position, you had a curveball, right? When the tobacco manager resigned.
Yes. So, well, so my former tobacco manager and I, we worked together for about a year, and
Okay.
then she left after a year, and that was absolutely terrifying because she was Wonder Woman. I mean, she knew everything about the program. She knew just everything about the complex governmental systems, and she had the answer for everything. She was just the go-to knowledge expert. So I learned a ton from her, especially how she managed the team and what works best for the team, because I never really want to come in and just change things all of a sudden.
Hmm.
Truly want to do what's best for the team. So when she left, it was one of those like, oh no, like moments. And it was one of those like you either have to sink or you have to swim.
Hmm.
And sinking
Hmm.
is not an option for me. So
Hmm.
I was like, we're gonna figure this out. And it was hectic because right after she left end of November. The CDC grant was due shortly after, and I had never done anything for the CDC application before. Um, and then there was also a shift in who was president, and so things were constantly changing. And so I had to go from really being cannabis focused to being put into the world of tobacco prevention and education, and really trying to understand what that looks like on a national level and how to communicate with the CDC effectively during all of this transition and who to reach out to and make those connections across different states. So I wasn't letting the team down or the program kind of flounder while I'm trying to figure out, okay, what do we do?
Yeah. And I know you came in as a new program manager with the vision of a truly innovative program where you were going to try to integrate youth cannabis and
Hmm.
tobacco prevention. That has very limited to no evidence basis behind it. Y'all are
Hmm.
really on the forefront of doing that. So could you share a little bit about your vision and how that's working out?
Yeah, so the reason that our programs were combined for both cannabis and tobacco is that was the state's move to try to consolidate programming. But also, a lot of the issues that we see with tobacco are also relevant in cannabis, especially when you look at youth use. When youth are vaping, you don't know what's in it, really, whether it's tobacco or cannabis. So the prevention strategies are typically pretty similar.
Mm-hmm.
So the goal was to really try to align the prevention practices to make it more effective for everyone involved and more cost effective, especially because there's giant budget cuts happening right now in Washington. So with the loss of CDC funds, as our state no longer has the tobacco control grant anymore, it gives us a little more flexibility of trying to figure out, like, okay, what is this going to look like? And for a truly integrated program, we probably shouldn't necessarily have a tobacco track and a cannabis track. It needs to be more combined. So this has really given us the opportunity to try to strategically plan what can this program look like truly integrated.
Mm-hmm.
So we're restructuring right now where the two managers are going to have one is going to be systems focused and focused on internal operations. What are the policies and procedures for the team, for the DOH? How can we get things a little more streamlined? Whereas the other one is big picture strategic planning, finding funding, working with state partners, non-state partners, really trying to build sustainability long term of and longevity of the program. So we're trying to go that route, and our subject matter experts and the people on our team are both well-rounded in cannabis and tobacco prevention and education. So this is something that we're still currently developing. We're also developing a new combined strategic plan for the history of the program. It was the tobacco strategic plan, and then the cannabis strategic plan was more aligned with the state strategic plan. How many times can I say that word in a sentence? So this is the first time that we're going to try to combine. So it's all in one, and our contractors are all working on tobacco and cannabis prevention. Um, with the funding cuts at the CDC level and the state
Mhm.
level, the cannabis dollars are really helping float some of the tobacco side of things because cannabis has had to step up with funding in order to have our partners still be able to do their work. So it's actually encouraged the integration of the work because now our contractors have to do both tobacco and cannabis. It's not really able to be separated anymore.
Yeah. And were you in a position with the CDC cuts where you had to let go of staff?
We were able to save staff, which was amazing. So looking at our budget, I had like a full-on meltdown probably for a week of like, what do we do?
Now what? You had the
Um,
now what moments.
I, I had the now what? I'm like, I am not losing my team. Like, that's just not an option for me. So, what is this going to look like? And with a bunch of moving and shifting and trying to figure out what's going on, we were able to effectively cut most contracts only like 4 to 6%, which is pretty good considering our program in total lost about, I think it's 5 million overall.
Hmm.
So we got to keep all of our staff. And the reason for that is because we were also able to keep all of our contracts. So the workload was still the same, but the contract amounts were just a little bit lower. And then, of course, we had to cut back on other things that the program was interested in doing because the money had to go to communities and to keep our contractors working and keeping them employed. And I'd reach out to our community partners and ask, like, okay, is this money tied to an FTE? If it is, how much is it? Can we try to help keep people employed? That was like
Mhm.
the number one goal. When we got those cuts was to see how we can keep our staff and have our contractors keep their staff.
How important is your community grants program to the movement in public health for cannabis prevention and tobacco prevention?
Yeah. Our community grants program is truly a highlight of our program. So the difference between our community grants program and then like our regional contractors and priority populations is the money that gets put into the LHJs and priority pops goes to organizations, and then the organizations then put the money into different programs. The community grants program, the money goes directly to local organizations where they don't have to subcontract out anything, and it just goes directly into the community.
Hmm.
It's a really great option in order to get the most amount of money with the least amount of like indirects and pass-throughs and
Hmm.
all that stuff to community. So there's been a lot of really great things that have come out of that program. The grants are typically around like 50,000 a year for these communities, and that really does make a huge difference in what these really small grassroots organizations can accomplish.
Yeah, it's so amazing that you've been able to find a way to keep staff, to keep contracts flowing, and to sustain the community level work. So congratulations on that.
It was it was hard, for sure. And luckily I was able to get another co-manager placed on the team, and she was on maternity leave and started full time, I believe, in July. So when everything happened at the CDC level and we were going through layoffs and we were looking at restructuring the program and going to leadership and all this stuff,
Mhm.
I was kind of flying solo on it, and it was intense. But really what kept me going is just knowing that I'm going to fight for my team because they are truly absolutely amazing people and very passionate about what they do, very knowledgeable, and I was going to do everything I could to keep them.
And I am a witness to that for sure. I've
Thank
seen
you.
you toiling and really being very strategic in how you were going to do that. Tell me a
Mhm.
little bit about your leadership. How supportive have they been?
They have been supportive once they were kind of brought on board to the situation. So I had like a section manager, And things kind of, I would always report to him, and I wouldn't necessarily go up to leadership beyond my direct supervisor because I wasn't as familiar with them. But as issues started to arise that were bigger and bigger, it was like, okay, we need like upper leadership perspective. And it was really helpful to have the perspective and insight of our leadership to guide what this program should look like. Because I've only been with the program coming up on 2 years now. So I don't have a lot of historical perspective and knowledge of what
Mm.
happened previously, whereas leadership does. And with my direct supervisor, he wasn't as involved as I think I needed at that moment. So I was trying to find other avenues of support of, okay, what does this look like? And what is even feasible and possible? And now with my current supervisor, so my supervisor at the time got reorged due to staffing changes and structures. And so my new supervisor, I met with him. He put a meeting on my calendar for like 30 minutes just randomly in March. And we met and I was like, okay, you want to help? Here you go. Like, here's all the things that are going on and all the things I'm struggling with and working with. And he was like, okay. And we have had meetings weekly ever since. We've brought in upper leadership. He's been really involved in really trying to figure out the restructure and strategic planning of where we want to take the program because we're really at the point where the program can flourish and thrive. We just really need to build that foundation because the program only combined, I think like 3 or 4 years ago. So it's still a very new combined program, and the foundation that needs to be there isn't quite there because so much has been happening the last few years.
Yeah.
So, with the support of leadership, my co-manager, the team, and our community partners, we're really trying to build out a sustainable program with super strong bones to withstand funding cuts in the future or like if cannabis becomes federal, if it becomes illegal or
Mm.
the federally crack down on it, it's
Hmm.
like, okay, what's that going to look like? Like we have to think kind of long term.
For sure. The long game.
Yeah.
Um, I like to highlight you coming into this with a kind of mental health background and perspective.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel like you definitely understand the power of mindset. So you've been
Mm.
able to stay focused through these constant changes and challenges. Can you share a little bit about what has kept you balanced?
Yeah. So a large part of my background is mental health focused, and like substance use prevention. So, knowing how important mental health is, I
Mhm.
genuinely try to make that a priority. And I want to shout out my therapist as well, who
For
has like
sure.
held my hand through all of these struggles too. And you have been like a therapist in a little way of just like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Um, but I think it's really important to set really firm boundaries between work and your personal life. There was a moment there for a few weeks where I was just like paralyzed when I wasn't at work because it's like, okay, things need to happen. I need people to keep their jobs. Money needs to go out the door. The budget has to be fixed. Contracts need to be pushed through. I mean, it was just constant of like, I felt like the world was kind of on my shoulders because
And you
I
had to
was
have
the one.
surgery, huh? Did you
Um,
have
yeah, I
surgery?
had my gallbladder taken out.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So it's just a really hectic time. And I set firm boundaries and I said, okay, at 5 p.m., I'm logging off. Like mentally, emotionally, physically, I'm shutting the laptop. I'm doing something else. And that was really, really helpful for me to set those firm boundaries. And I
Mhm.
would also schedule over lunch if like that would be easier to do. And I would like be like, oh yeah, I'll meet Friday afternoons or early Monday mornings. And it's like I had to kind of set firm of I need an hour for lunch. I need to breathe. I need to focus on what's important to me. I need to take the dog for a walk. I need to touch grass.
Yeah.
Like setting those boundaries are really, really important. And then identifying what is helpful for you to unwind, especially on the weekends. So Like there was a time for a few weeks where I'd like log off work pretty late, and I'd just sit and stare at the wall, or I'd just like lay down and be like, okay, I'm tired. Like,
Hmm.
so it's relying on your friends and just identifying what those positive coping skills are to get through that really stressful.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Thinking about the Marie, like the first week where you're on the job, any advice for her? Like if you can go back and whisper in her ear, since all the things you've been
Um,
through.
Buckle up, Buttercup. Um, I would just say like take more notes about how like things are structured and how systems work. So
Mm,
then in the future, when you come up to an issue, you can look back on that and be like, okay, I think this is like where I need to go, but I'm not 100% sure. Or um, write down the names of people that like, because there are a ton of people that you meet when you first start a job and you're like, I don't really know what you do and I'm information overload. If you just take quick notes of like, okay, this person does this, that would be so nice to just look back and be like, oh, that's who I need to talk to, instead
mm,
of going to leadership and being like, okay, who do I talk to? What do I do? Um, I think that would have been really helpful for me, but it was truly like very overwhelming because I had meetings just right off the bat and I was jumping into issues and um, really just program management when I still was like, I don't even know how to pay invoices. Like,
hmm.
so I
Yeah.
would just tell her like, you've got it, but you've gotta figure it out.
And I think that's what I told her.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
Marie, what's your personal mission? Like, you're doing a lot of good work now. What do you see yourself doing in the future?
Um, in the future, I would really like to. I love what I do. I love my team, but I'm really interested in kind of transitioning into interpersonal violence prevention or the IVP world. My background is mostly in suicide prevention and then how substances influence decision making regarding suicidal ideation. So that's kind of how this job, how I kind of qualified and fit into the current position I'm in. But suicide prevention, health education, that's really a passion of mine. So I'm hoping to take the skills that I'm learning from this position and be able to bring it with me into my next adventure, which is hopefully and potentially more focused on the mental health side of things and health education focused.
Awesome. I think
Yeah.
the thread between what you do now with the community and at the people level is just high quality life, right? Like ensuring
Hmm.
that people are happy and well,
Hmm.
and can see their own future.
Yeah, absolutely.
How have you used your mental health background with your current team?
Um, I find it really important to have spaces to vent and have open, honest conversation.
Mm,
If I'm feeling frustrated about the way things are going, I am probably not the only one. Or if I'm getting irritated about X, Y, or Z, I think it's really important when you meet one on one that you have the space to communicate those frustrations and let them kind of release some steam and then talk about, okay, next steps. What are we going to do? And then I always ask, like, what are you doing for your mental health? What's important to you? Go take a 30-minute walk. Go take some time for yourself, that kind of thing. And then in a group setting, it can be really easy to just kind of have a negative funnel of like, well, this sucks and that sucks, this sucks. So in a group setting, it's really important to focus on the positive things that are happening and then how we can push forward on our collective goals. So on a one-on-one space, I find it really important to have that space to vent. And then as a group, I think it's really important to have the team see each other in a more positive space, which hopefully then lifts their perspectives of, okay, maybe it's not as bad and we can push forward.
for sure. I was just thinking, I've witnessed you transform relationships within your team as well, like going from dark, kind of negative relationships to really positive, empowering relationships. So, how did you do
Mhm.
that?
Honesty. People express like their frustration for things in different ways, and sometimes that really is just not compatible. but the core thing that we're experiencing is the same. So it's just
Hmm.
figuring out how to communicate that and
Hmm.
then how to show that you're truly on their side. Like there's one team member who is very much like, when I met with them at first, they were like, well, no offense, I don't know how long you're going to be here, but here we go. I'm like, okay. And now, like, I rely on them for a lot, and they have my back, I have theirs. So it's the consistency
Hmm.
and speaking up for situations that you don't necessarily agree with, and you back their perspectives. And just truly being there and supporting them is just way more important than anything else. Even if you're like all of our work is virtual, we all work from home. But even hopping on a meeting, even if you're not on camera and you're just there to like back them up if they need it,
Hmm.
that can
Hmm.
really do a lot for building a relationship, is just showing that time and effort.
Well, you've definitely done that. And so while you've been
Thank
there
you.
for what you said, 2 years, like
hmm
I've definitely seen you grow and practice and be a strong leader for your team. So you
Yeah.
have a lot to be proud of, ma'am.
Oh, thank you. I always say it's the team. Like that's really what keeps me going is they are so passionate about their work and have such great relationship with their contractors
Mhm.
that that inspires me to try to make it easier on them and create a positive experience for everyone involved because I truly am inspired by my team.
Yeah. Final question. And
Yeah.
I'm just curious, in 5 years from now, like looking back, um, what do you think would be the biggest team accomplishment?
I think it would be surviving the last year for sure. And all of the changes that have been happening, not just at the federal level, but also the state level. Like our department went through a ton of layoffs, and we were able, luckily, to survive them. And I think one of the biggest accomplishments is that the team has rallied together around truly wanting to create a science-based program that is successful long term. And there's truly this altruistic view that of what really what public health is you're putting in the time and effort now, but you may not see the outcome
Hmm.
yourself.
Hmm.
And so the fact that the team all has that perspective and they're putting their heart and soul into really trying to build this program sustainably, I think that is a huge, huge accomplishment. Not just for the team, but for the state and how many people, hopefully, that this program can impact in a positive way.
For sure. Well, thank
Yeah.
you, Marie, for talking with me. Your light is
Yeah.
shining for sure,
Oh,
and you represent the team well. So.